Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Board of Education meeting. Today is November 18th, 2025. May I ask you to please rise for our Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just want to read our housekeeping item. As part of our ongoing commitment to an inclusive community engagement, those joining virtually can now email questions and comments to SWR-BOE Meeting at k12.newyork.us for inclusion during our second public comment period. Residents wishing to make comments or raise questions shall sign up with our district clerk and state their name, address, and topic. Public discussion is prohibited on matters relating to staff and students at which their reputation, privacy, or rights to due process, or the rights of others to due process could in some way be violated. All comments should be directed to the board president. The board president may choose to respond to these comments or refer them to the superintendent or other board members for a reply or for consideration and later response. All comments should be respectful, non-defamatory, and should maintain a level of decorum appropriate for a meeting of a public body. First up tonight is our approval of our agenda. May I get a motion, please? Henry, second Katie. Any discussion or questions? All in favor? 7-0. Next up is our superintendent's report. Mr. Poole.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. For the first part of the report, I will turn it over as usual to our amazing ex officio student trustees.
Good evening. Parent-teacher conferences are this Thursday, November 20th from 6:15 to 8:30 p.m. Students, if you are interested in volunteering on Thursday, you can sign up on the Student Government Google Classroom. This is a great way to get community service hours for high school students. Act Now performances will be happening during school tomorrow, Wednesday, November 19th, and Thursday, November 20th. Students from grades 10 through 12 will be performing a series of short skits to show ninth graders what signs of suicidal ideations to look for in their peers, how to give them the right help, and who to go to. Stony Brook University Hospital will be sending representatives to our building for a 3-hour hands-on representation this Wednesday, November 19th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Students interested in joining the medical field as a career will be provided the opportunity to participate in hands-on workshops such as ultrasound, CPR, and splinting clinics, engage in career conversations with the attending physicians and healthcare staff, and experience simulation-based learning in the hospital's simulation lab. This is so important for high school students to gain meaningful exposure and mentorship opportunities. Any senior who is looking to apply to a CUNY college, this week is free CUNY application week. Submit applications so you don't have to pay the fee. Auditions for this year's Coffee House performances will be on Friday, December 5th from 2:45 to 5 p.m. in the orchestra room.
Congratulations to our game day cheerleading team for placing second at the New York State Championships. Congratulations to the Shoreham-Wading River Cross Country athletes Spencer Lee and Brady Kitchen for earning all-county recognition at the Section 11 Cross Country Association dinner. Congratulations to Spencer Lee for competing in the New York State Championship this past Saturday. Spencer placed in the top 50 in our classification. Congratulations to students Everett McClintock, Kate McQuaid, Riley Keneally, Jake Donnelly, Lila Grasso, Nate Schaefer, Ian Margiotto Watts, and Charlie Tacky on being selected for the NISCAM All-County Choir. And congratulations to all the members of the band, choir, and orchestra who put on an amazing performance last Wednesday night.
Yay.
I can't believe we're getting ready for Coffee House
I know, right?
already. The year is flying, and I want to echo congratulations to our band, orchestra, and chorus. The concert was spectacular last week, so thank you to our teachers and to all of our student musicians for an amazing performance. Just a few happenings across the school district. Over at the middle school on November 7th, in honor of Veterans Day, 8th grade students gathered for an assembly honoring the bravery, sacrifice, and service of the men and women.
Excuse me, We can't see down there, so you're gonna have to,
Oh, sorry.
we can't see. Who did we miss?
Okay, go
Ella?
ahead.
Who is it? Which one did we miss?
Go ahead.
Congratulations to senior Gia Politi in placing 6th in the all-around and 4th on the bars at the Section 11 individual gymnastics competition. With this success, Gia qualified for the state's team, where she will represent Suffolk County on bars. She is one of only 6 team gymnasts to earn a spot on this team.
Wow.
The state meet will take place on February 28th in Utica. This qualification is historic. Gia is officially the first gymnast in William Floyd/Longwood/SWR history to ever qualify for states.
Wow.
It is an extraordinary accomplishment, and we could not be more proud. Gia also signed her NCAA letter of intent with LaSalle this past week, where she will compete Division I acro and tumbling
No.
on both an academic and athletic scholarship.
Congratulations, Gia. That's great.
This past Thursday, all computer science and pre-calculus students, as well as members of our pre-college STEM club, were invited to a lecture at the Simon Center on Stony Brook campus that discussed the real-world application of programming. As a student that went on this field trip, I really enjoyed learning how I can use the skills that I'm obtaining in my computer science class. This upcoming Saturday is the first competition for the high school's VEX V5 robotics team. It will be held at Brookside High School in North Merrick.
How are we doing down there?
We're done.
Isabel, all right, thank you, Isabel.
We had an amazing fall athletics season. I know at a future meeting coming up shortly, we'll take the time to recognize our fall athletes and have them here to be recognized. So on to the rest of the school district. Over at the middle school on November 7th, in honor of Veterans Day, our 8th grade students gathered for an assembly honoring the bravery, sacrifice, and service of the men and women of the United States Armed Forces. The event aimed to help students better understand the importance of Veterans Day and to recognize the heroes within our own community. The assembly featured presentations by our veteran guests from the U.S. Air Force and Navy, which gave students a meaningful look into the lives of veterans and the impact of military service. The middle school will be having their evening parent-teacher conferences this Wednesday, November 19th, and the daytime parent-teacher conferences are Thursday, November 20th. Prodel music students have been working very hard to make some great music as they prepare for the winter concert, where you can hear the middle school band, chorus, and orchestra students perform, and that performance will be at the high school on December 3rd. Over at Wading River, they gave a special thanks and recognition to veterans by highlighting them on the Wading River's Wall of Honor, where family members and friends of students who served were honored with their own star. The Wading River Student Council's food drive will be wrapping up this Friday. I hear they've collected hundreds of non-perishable food items for local food pantries. All are welcome to join in on helping others this Thanksgiving. And thank you to our Wading River PTA, who is hosting a family game night from 6 to 7:30 p.m. this Friday, November 21st. All families are welcome to enjoy a fun evening together. Over at Miller Avenue, they had a super Veterans Day breakfast this year. Over 60 service people were there for a parade and for a breakfast. The student council and staff, they had a song sung to them. They hosted their 3rd annual Salute to Heroes breakfast on Monday, November 10th, and they were privileged to host our local veterans who have family members attending Miller Avenue. It's been a great annual event, and they are looking forward to their annual Thanksgiving parade, Balloons Over Miller Avenue, on Tuesday, November 25th. And briefly, on tonight's agenda, we have a Miller Avenue student performance and presentation, Miller Avenue principal's report, and then a follow-up discussion on an EPC project at which Mr. Seba, Mr. Schupner from BBS will be here to speak with the board.
Thank you, Mr. Poole. Thanks for that report. Thanks, students, for your update from the high school, too, as well. I do want to thank Mrs. Smith. Tonight, we're having our meeting here, and we had the opportunity earlier to do a walkthrough of the building, so it's always great to be back here at Miller Avenue. Want to open up any opportunity for board members. Anyone want to add anything tonight?
I just want to say thank you as well. It's nice to hear how many students are taking advantage of the universal lunch.
Yeah, go for it. Go ahead, Mike. Yeah, do that again.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to thank Ms. Claudia for having us here again. It was also nice to hear how many students are taking advantage of the universal lunch program. And I'm hoping in the future we can have further conversations about enhancing that experience with a warming kitchen or even a larger space for these kids. It's tough to hear that the all-purpose room isn't what it used to be as far as housing book fairs, as well as outside assemblies. So it looks like maybe the building could use a little more wiggle room in the future. So
Thanks, Mr. Lewis. Okay, next up, anyone else, by the way? All good?
I just wanted to thank Mrs. Smith for explaining how creatively students and staff work together in order to make sure that students' experiences are as wonderful as they are here, and so that no assemblies or anything that Mr. Lewis mentioned is missed, and and that it doesn't fall on any one program to have to suffer for that.
Yeah, I think it's a very vibrant building when you walk around and see all the, whether it's from the art class or the reading and the writing, and I know tonight you'll be presenting to us, so I echo those thoughts. Thank you, Katie, appreciate that. Okay, so next up, we're going to jump into our, well, actually, is there any statement from residents on the agenda items?
No, there aren't.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kirschis. Student and staff recognition is up next. So Ms. Claudia Smith, I'd like to welcome you and welcome the parents who are all here tonight and community members. It's great to see everyone. Can't wait to hear about what your principal report is going to include tonight, Mrs. Smith. Is that working?
Thank you so
Yeah.
much
Great.
for joining us tonight. Thank you to our board members and district office members and our community for coming out tonight.
Hold on, Mrs. Smith. I just want to make sure that's working. Just kind of Ricky do a sound check real quick. I don't know if we can. Yeah, your voice does carry. You want to grab this?
Bang it 3 times.
I'm just wondering what Mr. Smith is doing in preparation for the Zumba. I see him down there.
Well, that's to come, but I do appreciate it.
I know, he's getting,
Noticed it right away, and
I just saw that.
So, welcome to Miller Avenue.
Thank you.
It is truly, when I hear you say that you walked around the building and it was a vibrant and
Yep.
place to be, and that means so much to me, because that is truly how I feel a primary building should be. When you walk in the building, it should feel good. And I want to start off tonight just talking a little bit about the importance of a primary building, primary education. At times, primary buildings are not always regarded with the same level of importance as upper grades. There's sometimes we look at education and resources and attention for prestigious awards and celebrations and athletic programs and community attention and college preparation. And we don't look at our primary buildings, but primary buildings sometimes are viewed really as a place that we prepare our students. However, I feel so fortunate to be here in Shoreham-Wading River. As an elementary educator for 28 years, our district, meaning our Board of Education and our district office members and our community, truly supports early education, and they recognize the importance. The formative years that we have and seeing how students learn and develop focus, collaboration, perseverance, and a strong sense of themselves. So I like to think that everything in elementary school is the most important. I think there was a book that said everything is learned in kindergarten, something like that. But you know what, the reality, and according to research, is that kindergarten through 2nd grade represent the most critical years in education for learning development. Children's brains are the most receptive from the kindergarten through 2nd grade years. In fact, I do have some research-based facts that I'd love to share with you. Students who struggle with reading by the end of 2nd grade are more likely to drop out of high school. While those entering 1st grade with strong literacy skills are more do correlate directly and significantly with better performance in algebra and higher mathematics later. Early intervention in K through 2 is significantly more effective than any remediation in upper grades. In fact, high-quality instruction in K through 2 reduces special education referrals by 50% in later grades. Children lacking social emotional skills in kindergarten are much more likely to experience ongoing academic and social struggles throughout their academics. So at Miller Avenue, we take our responsibility incredibly important. We prioritize, we are comprehensive, we base our research on K through 2 programs, literacy, numeracy, and social emotional learning. And I'm so excited to share some of our updates with you. Curriculum highlights. So some of the things that we are working on here at Miller Avenue that I am super excited about. In regards to our foundational literacy, last year, Miller Avenue kindergarten teachers really pushed, or it's actually 2 years ago now, pushed for the additional of our Heggerty Phonemic Awareness Program. They researched it on their own, they looked at the program, and they felt that we needed to add Heggerty to kindergarten instruction. Heggerty provides daily systematic instruction in phonemic awareness, the ability to hear and manipulate individual sounds. Well, not only did we fully incorporated Heggerty last year into our kindergarten, this year we have now integrated it through first grade. So we have it for kindergarten and first grade. Over the last few years, we've really worked to adjust our books that are in our libraries, looking at decodable text. Carrie Anderson, our literacy coach, has really overseen that researching and looking for the best decodable text that we can have for our program. So I'm proud to say that all of our kindergarten and our first grade have a comprehensive library of decodable text. Recently, looking at some of our iWriting data, we saw that we needed some more informational text. So thank you to Mr. Poole in our district office. We were able to order nonfiction decodables that will be arriving hopefully before the holidays. Center work has totally been redesigned over the last few years. Our teachers have really gone to a center-based model in kindergarten, first grade, and second grade in literacy. So that way they're really approaching small group instruction. And I've seen a really massive amount of change with our small group instruction literacy. Teacher assistants have really been a great asset to our kindergarten literacy program. This is our second year having teacher assistants in for 90-minute blocks. I feel that our teachers in kindergarten have really learned how to use them and really value that time. This year we had foundations retraining. All of our teachers are trained in foundations, but we decided that we needed to refresh and restart and look at our program. As a result of that, we have ordered a number of new manipulatives and student materials. So we have refreshed and we're making sure that our team is consistent. And lastly, for foundational literacy, this year we're working on our Science of Reading program. So each teacher is getting trained through new calls, and they're working on their credentials in regards to Science of Reading. Numeracy, just as important. Miller Avenue, we have an amazing mathematical coach, Jill Coster, and she really has taken on a leadership role in working with our teachers. We really switched to a center-based model when it comes to our mathematics. So working in small groups. In those groups, hands-on, center-based manipulatives and differentiation are essential to helping our students. Ms. Coster works in all 3 grades. Kindergarten is a pushing model. Lastly, for numeracy, we've added the IXL differentiated instruction are truly the forefront and what we are made of. And all of these things equally important. Recently, I was talking to a high school teacher about differentiation, and fantastic teacher, and she looked at me and said, I could never handle teaching all those different levels on an elementary school because it is so different. So hands-on, it's proven that hands-on activity actually improve retention of materials and deepen understanding. So as you can see in the picture, students using manipulative, students building, students experiencing. Inquiry-based learning, students love to ask why. And we want them to figure that out on their own. And that's something that we have really adjusted over the last few years. And really, I think we're successful with that because we're using so many center-based lessons. Lastly, we have differentiated instruction, and that really truly is the foundation of a primary building. One size does not fit all, and we know that as educators, and using differentiated instruction really allows us to meet each student's needs. I could go on and on, but I won't. Oh, let's celebrate. I think that's kind of exciting, right, boys and girls?
Absolutely.
So I want to thank you. So as you walked in, many of our board members and district office and community had the opportunity to meet some of our fantastic authors. So literacy development in a primary building is really outstanding, absolutely outstanding. In kindergarten, our students come in and some of them aren't writing letters. They don't know their letters. They start to write maybe beginning sounds of words. Some of them start to learn to write their names. They use invented spelling. Some kindergartners just draw pictures. Or they just write the beginning sound and label for their story. First grade, students are expected to write a few sentences. More conventional spelling, maybe some punctuation. Maybe trying to add some details. Handwriting becomes a little bit more consistent. Second grade, the beginning of second grade, 2 years later, we have authors. We have authors that are writing stories. They're using the conventions of the English language. Their stories are sequenced, paragraphs. They're revising and editing their own work. So in 2 years, the amount of growth that our students have because of the phenomenal teaching staff that we have here and all those practices that I mentioned is really superb. So I asked our second grade teachers to give me one student that you knew that just works so hard and that always tries their hardest when they're writing. And each of the second grade students gave me one, and that's how we highlighted them tonight. Lana, I apologize. Lana, come on up. So Lana is in Miss Steinbrecker's class, and she wrote a story called The Snow Slide. Miss Steinbrecker said that you always work hard, you are a phenomenal writer, and you incorporate everything that you learn into class in your writing. Excellent job.
Cool. Way to go.
By the way, I'm giving out these fantastic Write stickers, which entitle students to a free item in our school store. Thank you to our PTO.
Nice.
Miss Zoe is in the Schwab's class. The name of her story, The Missing Gyro. Zoe, these are the exact words. Zoe transformed a fleeting moment into a story worth telling. Excellent job, Zoe. Edward is in Miss Langen's class. Edward wrote a book review called Can I Play Too? He incorporated all the elements of an excellent
Thanks, everyone.
Brooke is in Miss Burke's class, and she actually has two stories over at the table. Her story, which I heard many of you talking about, was the Fall Festival at Fink's Farm. She brought that to life. Miss Burke said the story included a clear beginning, a middle, and an end, and included many thoughtful details. Superb. Thank you. Aiden is Miss Santagata's class, who I saw back there. Thank you. Aiden wrote a story about going to the beach. Aiden engaged the reader with a wonderful use of dialogue, descriptive words. He demonstrated an effort in the editing process to make sure the story flowed. Amazing. Nora's in Mr. Burback and Ms. Shepman's class. My vacation to Spain. Nora incorporated feelings and details into all of her writing, and this piece is a great example of her fantastic work. Thank you. Alessandra is in Mr. Korchman's class. Her story was called The Production. Allie has a great voice and great sense of voice in her writing. Did you know what that meant in kindergarten? No. Thank you. Blakely is in Miss Lodato's class, and her writing was called Gender Reveal. She used many thoughtful details to tell the story about how she decorated for her aunt's gender reveal party. Excellent. Thank you for our amazing So just quickly, some of our enrichment programs that we have here at Miller Avenue. We are super lucky to have a full-time art teacher this year. And what we're doing with our full-time art teacher is we have added the availability of makerspace opportunities. So makerspace, she pushes into the classroom. She works very closely with Ms. Laval so that students and classes have numerous opportunities throughout the month for makerspace. The lessons are based on happenings of the month, holidays, and curriculum. Our music program here is absolutely phenomenal. Each grade level has 2 programs, and that has continued. Physical education, we brought back rollerblading. So rollerblading came back last year. We purchased some new exciting equipment. Our physical education department is working on a new unit this year, more to come. Extracurricular clubs, we now have 8 clubs at Miller Avenue. First and second grade, 76% of our first and second graders attend clubs.
Wow. It's a big stat.
It's a big number.
Yeah, it's a big number.
Okay, Zumba. Are we ready for some fun?
Uh-oh.
So I just want to start off, Ms. Grunfelder, who has worked in the Shoreham-Wading River District for 28 years, serving as a 4th grade teacher. I just want to say thank you to Ms. Grunfelder because Ms. Grunfelder never says no. She is always the first to volunteer, to help you with any initiative, to be a leader. She has taken on so many roles at Miller Avenue, is always willing to lend me a hand, and I'm so grateful and appreciative of her work. Watching you might not know about Miss Grunfelder is she was a dance teacher. Not anymore though, right? Just here, just here. So she brought this up and I was like, all right, we'll see if you want to do it. Well, Zumba has grown so much over the last year, and last year when we didn't know what it was, we didn't, but now it is like the most exciting spot to be. Really exciting. So, in order to add to our Zumba moment, there are headbands available for you to put on. I see some people
Yeah.
wearing.
Mr. Smith put his on immediately.
I love that. Now, we are. There are people.
Oh, boy.
I love it. Come on. Now, we have, so our Zumba friends can go over to the side. But you know what? Zumba's not fun. We all take part. So, I welcome you to stand up and dance. You don't have to. But that goes for our audience too.
All right.
Because I know when I
It's getting
visit
physical.
them.
All right, how am I getting
And
like that?
Zumba actually has 25 students, not everybody can come. So feel free to dance. I will take a moment. Headbands never make it, I need to get mine. Miss Grunfelder, whenever you're ready, I'm getting my headband.
The big girls. Oh, that's so cute. Oh my gosh. I have high heels on, Meg.
would say this is a first.
Or a Zumba
This is
presentation.
definitely a first.
Thank you so much for participating, and thank you for a great demonstration.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith. Ms. Grußfelder, thank you very much for that. That was awesome. That was amazing.
Lastly, very
Yep.
quickly, community engagement is very essential to our growth here at Miller Avenue, and we truly believe in engaging community and making our children feel part of it and grow as citizens. We already mentioned our Veterans Day event, and that's
Yes.
really what I wanted to talk to you about. It's a super special event. This is our third one, and it has grown phenomenally. We had 65 veterans here with guests and students. So we had 190 people in the gymnasium for breakfast. It was hosted by our PTO. Miller Avenue loves a good parade, so we paraded around the building. And it just, to me, means so much watching our students with their family members and extended family members. So we look forward to continuing more parades to come in Miller Avenue.
Wonderful.
You think that was it? Just want to give a big thank you. I want to lastly just thank all of the staff at Miller Avenue for everything that they do every day. Our support staff is absolutely phenomenal, and our teaching staff is a step above. They really go out of their way every day to do what is right for our students. So thank you so much for my time, and thank you for the answer.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Smith. So, Mr. Smith, thank you again for sharing all of that. Thank you for obviously the highlights, the engaging approaches, and I completely agree. I think all of us here on the board, the administration, none of this happens without our talented teachers and our staff here at the building. So thank you for highlighting some of the wonderful things that are occurring here. Additionally, I have to say that, you know, when I think about our entire board, you know, you mentioned how important the priority is of K through 2 education. I would say this board is definitely on board with that. We've prioritized low class sizes. We've prioritized, you know, including literacy and math coaches for support, and we've seen the progress, right? So it all yields the results that we're seeing, and obviously these outcomes. And this was fantastic tonight. I personally enjoyed seeing the stories that the kids wrote and listening to them and learning a little bit more about why they wrote what they wrote. So that was fantastic. And then obviously the Zumba club. Glad we added it because I got a little exercise tonight. So that was great. What's that? I'm sorry? Okay, any Wednesday. There's an open invite, open mic invite for the community. Anyone who wants to join the Zumba club. Thank you, Ms. Greenfeld. I appreciate that. Okay, so next up, where are we here? Okay, so we have no old business, reports and reviews. We're good. I think next up is our votes and resolutions. Okay. First will be our approval of our November 4th, 2025 regular public meeting minutes. May I get a motion, please? Megan, and is that Henry up, right? I think you guys are first and second. Any discussion or questions? All in favor? So it's going to be 6-0, and then I'll abstain because I wasn't here at that meeting. So 6-0-1, Ms. Kirschis, on that one?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next up will be our approval of our October 2025 Treasurers Report. May I get a motion, please? Jim Smith, and then Mike. Any discussion or questions on the Treasurers Report? All in favor? 7-0. Next up, approval of our CPSE, CSE, and 504 meeting summary memo dated November 5th, 2025. May I get a motion? Katie, second. I think that's Megan down there. All in favor? 7-0. Thank you. Next up, we have one Board of Education resolution. This section is 2526075. May I get a motion, please? Jim L., and that's Mike?
Nope.
Sorry. Henry? I can't see down there. Sorry, guys. I got first and second. Any discussion or questions? Mike, was that a no on the? No, just you didn't raise your hand. Got it, okay. Any discussion or questions on this approval? All in favor? 7-0. Next up, there are 4 curriculum and instruction resolutions. This section is 2526076 through 2526079. May I get a motion, please? Megan, clearly, and then Jamel, second. Any discussion or questions on these? All in favor? 7-0. Mr. Poole, will you just do us a favor and explain, on these overnight field trips, what's typically the process in terms of chaperones? Because I just saw we just approved a bunch of these for sports and otherwise.
Yeah, typically the coach comes, they'll bring assistant coaches, and if it's a larger group, the district would provide chaperones as well as requested.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, Mr. Poole. Next up, we have 7 business and operations resolutions. They go 2526080 through 2526086. Got a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep going.
Yeah. May I get a motion, please? Let's take a motion. Mike, that's clearly you. May I get a second? Henry, thank you. Any discussion or questions on these?
Yeah, I just had a question on 2526080. Mr. Poole, can you talk a little bit about the, what additional work we'll be doing for the bell-to-bell funding that we'll get?
Yes, so when New York State passed the law to ban bell-to-bell personal devices in schools, each district got an allocation of funds to implement that. We did not get a windfall. We got about $10,000, and you may recall, over the past couple of years, we've had workshops from Wading River right throughout the high school on internet safety, social media, appropriate use of the internet, having a healthy digital footprint, and those types of safety presentations for students. And we're going to use that funding to continue that work this year.
Thanks.
Any other discussion or questions on these? Okay, may I get a motion, please? Jim L., second. I did, I'm cracking up. Thank you, Mike. All in favor? 7-0. Next up is our personnel. May I get a motion, please? Katie, second. Jim Smith. Any discussion or questions on personnel? Okay, all in favor? 7-0. Ms. Kirschers, do I have any communications?
No, we do not.
Okay. Yep, so for discussion, so I think we're going to invite up. So as far as follow-up discussion, we have 2 EPC projects that the district is considering. So we have BBS here to present. Is Ernesto, who's introducing them? Is Mr. Arcuri?
Yeah, Mr. Arcuri will.
Okay, Mr. Arcuri, will you introduce, I think we have 2 guests. Thanks for being here, Fred and Ken. Fred Seba and Ken Schupner, thank you. Is it working? Are we on, Ricky?
Okay. Tonight, we have Mr. Schuster from BBS. Fred Seba, engineer.
Got it, there we go. Thank you, Ricky. Yeah. Was it the dancing? The dancing got you all crazy tonight. Is that what happened?
So, tonight, Mr. Schubner, Mr. Sealer, Mr. Hussein from BBS Architects is here this evening to present to the Board of Education about the responses to our energy performance contract request for proposals. And they're here to update you.
Thank you. Thanks, Glenn.
So I want to just give you a little bit of history on the energy performance contract. We put an RFP out on behalf of the district several months ago. We got 3 responses back, one from Train, one from Renew, and one from Energy Systems Group. We did the district administration and the board subcommittee, and we decided to narrow it down to 2, to Renew and Energy Systems Group, because we felt that they would be in the best interest of the school district. So what we're going to show you tonight is the proposals back from the 2 of those firms.
all about technology. You got it, Fred? Ricky, can I pull an assist again? Thank you.
All right, so as a refresher, the typical advantages of an EPC. So it's a guaranteed 18-year or less payback. So that means that if they guarantee that they're going to save you $300,000 a year, in the first year, they only save you $250,000, they get the right to district to check for the difference. So it's guaranteed energy savings. It's a blended payback, so some of the items can have longer than 18-year payback, things like boiler replacement, burners, things like that, while other things will have shorter, like lighting and controls. As long as we blend them together, and it's 18 years or less, we meet state criteria. How do we know that we're actually saving what we're supposed to be saving? Because there's something called measurement and verification. And the way we specify it in the RFP, the first year of that is option C, and that means it's a utility bill comparison method. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at the utility bills prior to the project happening, utility bills after the project happening. We're gonna compare the two and make sure that we're saving exactly what that contractor guaranteed we were going to save. We have more control over the contractors and subs because it's not a lowest responsible bid type scenario. It's an RFP, request for proposal. We get to select the contractor that we feel is in the best interest of the school. We also get to recommend to that contractor what subcontractors we want them to use, if any. So, for instance, we have a controls vendor that we feel the district has worked with in the past, is very comfortable with, so we recommend it to the contractors. Here's the controls vendor we would like you to use on this project. So we have much more control as opposed to a low bid scenario. And Mr. Arcuri will like this, no change orders. Change orders are allowed on energy performance contracts. The state does not allow them. So this project is what it is. The price is guaranteed and the scope is guaranteed by the contractors as well. And it's considered a contingent expense, so we don't have to put it out for voter approval. It gets board approval only in order to proceed ahead. We also get extensive SED review, so not only is SED reviewing the project manual, the drawings, like they would on any of our capital projects, but they're also reviewing the contract that you will sign with the energy performance contractor, and they review all of the energy calculations to make sure they as well are in agreement with what that contractor is saying that they're going to be able to save. Obviously, they're most attractive when energy costs are higher, and we live on Long Island, so when aren't energy costs higher? So it's a very attractive thing, and I'll explain a little bit more in a minute. We also get reduced maintenance because we're going to be replacing burners, we're going to be replacing lighting, we're going to be replacing controls. So those are going to be new products to use, so you're not going to have to maintain them at the same level that you're maintaining them right now. So, let's see if I can go right now. Really want to know.
Ricky's gonna take over. Hold on 1 second, Fred.
There we go.
There we go.
So, what's our role in this? So the first thing we did is perform preliminary energy load. So we walked your buildings when we were doing the building condition survey reports, and we looked for energy savings options for us. And we'll talk about those in a minute. We prepared the RFP, but we sat down with the district and said, okay, what do you want to see in here? What are your priorities? And there were certain things that they asked us to include in the RFP. We had a conference, we issued addenda, analyzed the responses, and it's interesting tunes that scope to exactly what you want to see. We make sure that they revise all of their calculations, their pricing, all of that, because at the end of that, they're going to be ready to guarantee the price, guarantee the scope, guarantee the safety. Then, if we still like that contractor, we decide to move ahead, at that point, the school district would enter into a contract with the ESCO, not until then. So at this point, there is absolutely no cost or obligation to the school district. You can decide we don't want to do an energy performance contract, and you can just cancel it along the way if you want. So once we do select this contractor and you sign a contract, the next step is we have to submit it to the state. So we prepare all the documents, all the drawings, the project manual, and we send everything up to the state, they review it, get approval from the state, and then we go into construction. So we provide construction administration like we do on all of your projects. We oversee it, we check payment requisitions, shop drawings, and all of those things. Make sure that they're installing things in conformance with our plans and specs. We then conduct a final punch list at the end of the job to make sure everything is complete. And we issue a certificate of substantial completion to the New York State Education Department. We then supervise that measurement verification that I talked about before to make sure that you guys are saving what the contractor has guaranteed to your clients. Okay, so I'm gonna get into specifics now on the two contractors. I put up Renew first. So what they're proposing is photovoltaics, and they don't have that installed. Approximately the same size system, so they have 1,310 roughly kW. If you think about it, a typical house is putting 3 to 5 kW on there, so this is a substantial amount of solar. It's going to reduce your electrical bills dramatically. We're going to be doing building management system upgrades. You have an older Honeywell system that the district has trouble getting repaired at times, so we're going to replace that as well as part of this project. We have HVAC upgrades at the high school, so it's 2 condenser unit replacements and 1 smaller rooftop. We have auditorium lighting upgrade where we're going to turn that into LED lighting. We have shunt efficiency system, which makes your electrical systems run more efficient. Walk-in refrigerator, freezer controls, which again help that product to run more efficient and save you money and energy. Transformer replacement, destratification fans, which we put in high spaces like this, that actually during the winter will blow the hot air out of the ceiling down to the floor level. So it mixes the space. It might be 60 at the floor, you might be 90 at the ceiling. So we want that 90 degree air to come down low. Building envelope weatherization, which is basically weather stripping and sealing the outside envelope of the building. Burner replacements at Miller Avenue at this building. And PX refrigerant technology, which will make the rooftop condenser unit run more effectively and efficiently. So in summary, they have 11 energy conservation measures. They have $8.34 million project that's proposed here. The payback is 17.99 years. Remember I mentioned it had to be blended 18 years or less, so they're just under that. We have projected annual savings of $344,000 roughly. So that's what they're at some point going to guarantee that the district is going to save. So the next item is, and I'll talk about the timeline on this a little bit more, estimated positive cash flow with state aid, because you're going to get state aid back over a 15-year period of $1.99 million. So roughly $2 million. Not only does the project pay for itself, but over the 15 to 18-year life of the project, the district is going to see a positive cash flow of roughly $2 million come back into the district that you can assign to other projects with the general fund. There are estimated benefits there, it's almost 1.7 million, and the majority of that is the Inflation Reduction Act money. And I'm going to talk about the timeline on that because we have a little bit of a timeline here to try and hit in order to make sure that you're going to be eligible for that money. And then your state aid ratio is roughly 26%. So 26 cents out of every dollar you spend comes back to you from the state education department as part of this project.
May I ask a question on that slide? So in effect, the $8 million that the district, could go back to that slide for a sec, Jed, thank you. Whoop, that's different. That's ESG. I just wanted to go back to Renew. There was, The Renew project, just, I think it's one more back, right? Ricky, can you take us back one? There you go, perfect, there you go. So with the 8.34 million project cost, so what you're saying to us is the 25.9% the state aid. So do we get reimbursed on the $8 million project cost, or do you get reimbursed? Just walk me through that math. How is the reimbursement? Is it on the $8 million?
So that's a good question. You get reimbursed on the construction cost of the project. So
Got it.
it wouldn't be the full 8.34 million, but it would be almost all of that.
Got it,
There's some of this that's not going to be considered aidable, because it's considered.
understood.
But
I appreciate that.
majority
So
of it would be getting.
if I'm looking at, if thinking as a taxpayer, the savings the district would receive in this specific agreement, the 344, 363 would be obviously projected, subject to this energy audit, right? The, over to the right side, the 1.696, is that also, those are incentives that this company is giving to us?
So those are coming from the federal government. in the
Got it.
form of a tax rebate.
Got it.
And ESC&G, National Grid, in the form of gas and electric.
And the last ask is the 199 million, how do you project that cash flow? Where does that come from? Is that the savings, the 344, 363 over the 18 years?
So that cash flow is based upon your payments. So you basically take out a tax-free municipal lease. You will pay the contractor with that money, and then you will pay the lease back out of the energy savings. But you're also going to get state aid back and some additional energy
Understood.
savings. So that's what the 1.99 million represents.
Okay, it's all those buckets. It's almost like a combination of those buckets, if you will.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
But I just wanted to ask a quick question regarding, hello? First?
You're good.
No? There we go, no? So I just wanted to clarify, the 1.99, is that cumulative? And I think you said 15 years for renew. Did I hear you right? Was it 15 years, or was it over the 18 years?
So we're assuming that the loan payment will be 15 years.
Okay.
Okay, thank
And
you.
we're assuming that state aid will be 15 years in order to match the loan payment.
Okay,
The 1.99 is figured over 18 years because that's
Got it.
state education department requires.
Okay.
all right, thank you for that clarification. Thanks, Henry, that was smart.
Just one more quick question. On other capital projects, our state aid was higher, I think 34%.
Yes.
Can you
So
explain why it's only 25.9?
Is that right?
when you do an energy performance contract, because it is board approved, not voter approved,
Get a
you
deduct.
lose 10% incentive aid. So it's a little bit lower aid ratio than it would be on a typical capital project.
And so it's only 10% off of your current state aid rate?
Yes.
Yes? Yes? So you said it's always 10% off of your state aid current
Yes.
aid?
Correct.
And that's, you said traditionally, or that's always the case, or if that's,
That's always.
there's no way to get full state aid based upon our traditional capital projects?
So the only way you can get that full state aid is if you vote this public.
Okay.
But if you use board approval to pass it in order to keep things moving to get the energy savings, which is what most school districts do, they don't wait because, let's say, we probably wouldn't be able to do it by this coming May probably, because we still have to go through this whole process. So you're gonna wait a year. You're gonna save $344,000 over that year by moving this project further and faster along. So you're actually saving more money in that 1 year than you would be if you went and got the 10% incentive. So that's why most districts do not go and go.
This might be too detailed,
Hmm.
but
that
in
math
terms of the
works.
1.6 million in the rebates, is that all IRA rebates, or was there LIPA rebates in there?
So there are PSE&G
Right.
rebates in
Okay.
there, and there are National Grid rebates in there. It's a very small percentage of that money, the majority of it is from the IRA.
Oh, okay, all right, that's good. Thank you.
Thanks, Fred. Thank you for that, just wanted to clarify.
Okay, so next up,
You did that, yep, we're good. You're on to the next, yeah, I think you're on the next.
I'll get this. By the end of the presentation, I'll have this down, no worries. All right. So, ESG, the second one. So photovoltaic,
Mhm.
You'll notice there are some minor differences between the two. So they have kitchen hood controls. So they're gonna shut your kitchen hoods off at 3 o'clock so they don't get left on overnight. Kitchen hoods use energy, but not only that, they draw heat and throw it out of the building, which you then have to recreate and replace. So they're gonna control those hoods. They have field lighting upgrades over at the high school. They have HVAC upgrades at the high school as well, rooftop units, auditorium lighting, LED, same, shut efficiency, same, walk-in refrigerator, freezer controls, again, same scope, water heater, oil to gas. So they are replacing some water heaters, and they're taking out your older oil-fired units and putting in gas-fired units, which burn a little bit cleaner at the high school and Wading River. They're also doing transformer replacement and destratification fans. They're doing fuel oil to gas conversion up at the maintenance building. They're also doing weather stripping, the weatherization, and they're doing utility rate conversion. And that's just something the district would do by switching from interruptible gas to permanent gas. There are savings associated with that, so there's no work involved in that. So you'll see there are a couple of things that are different between the two. This is a summary of their project. So it's 14 ECMs. It's 11.9 million, 12.6-year payback. The projected annual savings are 549. The estimated net positive cash flow is 4.5 million. The rebates, most of that again is IRA money coming back, it's 1.7. And again, state aid ratio is the same, 25.9%. So that's basically, those are the two proposals that we narrowed it down to. We are not locked in, so if we select a contractor tonight,
Mhm.
we still have the ability to negotiate scope. So if we pick contractor A, but we like one thing that contractor B had in their proposal, we can still ask contractor A to work that in. So this is not a done deal, it's not a set scope, it's not locked in stone. Again, this is a request proposal, the district has the ability to negotiate that scope and make changes. So why is time a little bit of the essence? Because the big beautiful bill that was passed July 4th, is sunsetting out that Inflation Reduction Act renewable energy component for solar. And so the two dates that we, in either or, that we have to be concerned with is we either have to start work by July 4th of 2026, or we have to complete the work by December 31st of 2027. So we are using domestically sourced products, so we don't have to worry about the end of this year. That was the first date, but that's a non-issue to us. So that's why I think it's important that we try and keep this process moving, because that Inflation Reduction Act money is a tremendous amount of money, and we'd love to see the district be able to get that tax rebate. So what would the timeline look like? So, the recommendation at this point, and again, when we put the matrix together, board subcommittee met with the administration, our recommendation at this point is that we have scored Renew slightly higher than we have scored ESG. And as a result, we are recommending that the district move forward with Renew to do the detail energy audit. Again, no cost or obligation at this point, and we have the ability to change the scope if we want to modify it and add some things or add some things. So
thank you for the presentation. So you close with your recommendation for renew. Can you provide us some backup on the reasoning of the recommendation? Comparing the two slides, 7 and 9, a lot of the numbers lean more towards ESG. Projected annual savings are higher, the payback years are less, the estimated positive cash flow is more. So can you just share on why you guys went with renew?
So basically, the way I would summarize it is that what we felt is that Renew is a smaller company, more of a local company, but as a result, their overhead and profit margins are much less. So I'm gonna say that you're getting better bang for your buck out of Renew than you are ESG. ESG is a national company, and their margins and markups are much higher. There are differences in scope throughout, and that's why the matrix is important to try and analyze it. We like some of ESG's energy conservation measures better, we like some of Renew's better, but we have to compare it as an overall. So when we did that, for instance, some of the biggest components that the district wanted. One was the controls. Renew had better control scope, and they had a lower price by $1 million. So you can see the lower overhead and profit that they're putting on these projects. Same thing with the solar. They have comparable amount of KW, but they have far less money that you have to pay in order to get that done. So we felt that Renew had better value for the money than ESG did. ESG had a little bit more scope in certain things than Renew did, but we just felt that overall it was a better value for your dollar to go move forward with Renew.
Similar to that question, is this proposal, or is this your recommendation, or when you talk about negotiating different elements into Renew, for example, do you have a recommendation for that, or that's part of next steps?
That's part of the next steps, but, if you say, well, we like this thing that ESG had, why doesn't Renew have that?
Mhm.
We're gonna ask Renew to work that in during the comprehensive energy plan. So you would still have the ability to do that and negotiate scope. So
Okay.
that's the benefit of this type of a project as opposed to a public bid.
So if we, for example, were to say, we'd like to see detail on fuel, oil to gas woven into Renew, how do we expect that process to go? How can we expect that to?
So what we would do is we would talk to Renew and say, look, these are priorities, we want you to try and work these in.
Mhm.
The fuel to oil gas at the maintenance building, I believe ESG only had about a $60,000 price tag associated with it. So I would think that Renew would be able to work that in their project. So there are things like that, and that was one of the things in talking to the administration that they really wished Renew had in their project. And that was one of the things we had talked about, trying to get them to work in if we move forward with Renew.
Okay.
There were a couple of other things we talked about, some of the rooftop units at the high school, we talked about trying to get Renew to work some of that in. And I think we'd be able to get them to work some, but not all of that in. But again, we just feel that based upon the analysis, we're getting better value out of the Renew proposal than we are overall out of ESG.
I'm so sorry. Can I ask you to just hammer down a little bit on the better value? I'm just looking at the projected savings between the two, and I'm not understanding the better value.
So, it's interesting, Renew is much more conservative when it comes to projected savings.
Okay.
Now remember, they're guaranteed savings. So they want to be conservative because they don't want to pay out of pocket. ESG is a little bit more aggressive, I'll say. So you'll look at, like, the solar versus the solar. They have approximately the same size, but ESG is saying they're going to get more savings out of it.
But are we still, we're promised that?
It's guaranteed savings.
So am I reading this right, that there's a $200,000 difference between the two vendors?
In the savings, you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
that's correct. savings allows them to do, because they're more aggressive in the savings, it allows them to build a larger project. Because they can use that savings to pay for more work over the 18-year period of the energy performance contract. So that's how ESG's project is larger, because they're stating at this point that they're going to give you more savings. What will it be at the end of the comprehensive energy audit, or detailed energy audit? I don't know. Will that drop down a little bit? Potentially. But we just felt that the value was a little bit better. So again, I gave the examples with the solar and the controls. Their scope was almost equivalent, but renewed price was $1 million less on one, and I don't know, $700,000 or $800,000 less on the other. So it just kind of showed that we're getting better value.
Fred, can I-
I'm assuming they, now it's super loud. I'm assuming they both have bonding capacity that can support them, right? We don't have any issues with their ability. They would be providing payment and performance bonds to the district, things of that nature?
Yes,
Okay.
that's a requirement in the RFP, and we have done energy performance contracts with both, and they do have the bonding capability.
Okay, and then from the PV discussion for the arrays, they're about the same size. Are they using similar panels? Are they using anything different in terms of product at this point? Do we know what they're proposing?
Well, the product's going to change.
Okay.
New panels come out every 3 or 4 months, so
Yeah.
whatever they're
Oh, wow.
proposing today is going to be different by the time we install it. They're going to be more efficient. We're going to get more power out of the same size panel. So, equivalent panels right now, they're both A-grade products.
Okay, that's where I'm going. I'm not necessarily asking you to name them, but just from experience with those particular panels, and have they been around for a while, that kind of thing. I prefer not being on something like that's new to the market, hasn't been out for a while, that kind of thing. With regards to the BMS upgrades, I understand the concept of they're similar in nature, but again, the products that they are providing here, are they both looking at similar product as far as manufacturer? Again, I'm not asking you to name them, but same, that truly is an apples to apples comparison then? And scope of work-wise, total magnitude, it's similar?
Yes,
Okay.
and even some of the subcontractors, like on the weather stripping, they both use the same subcontractor. And you see that Renew marked it up much less than ESG did. So same scope, same subcontractor, they just have a lower cost. So again, you can see it
Mhm.
throughout the analysis.
But the two largest that make the magnitude of the overall EPCs is the PV array and the BMS, right, on these? Those are the two large. So those are the ones that, as a board, we should consider the most important, just to zero in on that, toward piggybacking on what you described.
What was the other of the two?
Well, I know you had mentioned others, and I kind of knew off the top of my head that they were minor in nature,
Yeah.
but, from a comparison standpoint, the PV array, the PV solar panels and the BMS upgrades, those tend to be the larger ones. I mean, the significance of the other ones is like, I think what you mentioned, Mr. Seba, regarding lowering the payback, because some of those smaller ones have a much better payback perspective, and so collectively, it helps the project as a whole. Okay, thank you.
Fred, if the energy savings doesn't come to fruition, is there recourse? How does that work? Like at the end?
Yeah, so that's guaranteed energy savings. So there are 2 different methods that we can use to do that. So either it's a first-party guarantee, which means that Renew and ESG guarantee it directly. So if they don't meet the energy savings, they get to write your check, that company writes your check. Renew also offers, in place of that, a third-party insurance. So basically, they would go to like a Lloyd's of London or a Hartford Steam Boiler, and they would get insurance that would guarantee that you were going to make those savings, and if not, the insurance company would pay for those savings. So they give you an option, ESG did not, ESG is first party, but Renew said we'll give you one or the other,
Oh,
whichever one you
okay.
want.
That's helpful. And they prepay the insurance policy?
The insurance policy would be prepaid
That's good.
during the 3-year life of the benefit verification. So
It's extra validation. It's like putting where your money where your mouth is, that they're even insuring it. Okay, that's helpful. Okay.
And, let's see, just one more question. So with regard to project, I know from the financial aspect of it, there's a lot that goes behind coming up with that simple payback. But just looking at it from a high level, the 11.9, I'm looking at ESG, for instance. It's almost a $12 million project. If I take that cost, divide by my projected annual savings, those are average annual savings, right? I guess, or it doesn't matter. Either way, I guess, take the 12 million, divide by the 550, does not come out to the 12.6. Is that because of the state aid component as well?
Because of the state aid and the IRA tax.
So you're taking the rebates off and then, okay.
Mhm.
Do they provide a financial model for the, did they actually show you the cash flow?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah,
and
that's-
the administration,
In the presentation.
no, understood. But the administration seen the cash flow, okay?
I think Mr. Arcuri has that, and has a, by the way, thank you for allowing us to see Mr. Arcuri dance tonight. That was an
Yeah, no, exactly, 100%. The man does a lot. Dancing was not one of the things I thought he did.
For the administration, what's our current bonding rating in terms of AA or,
Or what, I'm sorry?
for
Henry?
financing purposes, what are we looking at? Like,
Oh, okay.
I believe 3.8, Mr. Arcuri?
3.8% of the current market rate.
okay.
Okay.
That's on a regular bond.
And hey.
We had a
intro-
differential last board meeting. I can't remember, can you remind me what, there were two different numbers that you gave us last board meeting? Can you remind me of what those were? Like,
different
the two
numbers.
categories, in other words? Like
Sure,
one
yeah.
for EPC bonding and then the other?
I had provided you the lease values.
Lease.
A lease cost for Renew was $731,000 annually, and the lease cost for ESG was 1.05
Thank you.
annually. Were those the two values you were,
That helps too. I was also interested to know the percentage rates. You had mentioned two different
Yep.
percentages.
so then the impact on the tax levy, if we were assuming the same 2025-26 tax levy limit calculation and added these lease payments to it, you would see an increase of 1.25% associated with the lease payment for Renew, and you would see a 1.78% increase for the lease payment related to ESG.
Okay, thank you.
Again, between the tax levy, by the time we go out to levy for this will probably be the earliest is 26-27 school year, if not the 27-28 school year. So the rates could be different, the impact on the tax levy could be different, but just for illustration purposes, we use the 25-26 tax levy limit, which is the most current one, to just demonstrate the impact.
Yeah, and I think last time you had mentioned, when we were just considering whether or not to have BBS come back out, you know, in previous space and facilities meetings, we talked about like the financial implication to the taxpayer. We talked about just the philosophy behind spending money to save money in the midst of having capital work already underway. But the way that I believe you phrased it, somebody phrased it, maybe Henry phrased it, just of the timing of this capturing the sunsetting rebates, but also the only reason to really do this, aside from the cost savings, but is to capture the scope of work that had been identified as necessary at some point in the near future. So, I just appreciated that rationale. I just thought for the sake of this meeting, where the presentation is going to live, to just bring that particular piece to light.
If I could just add, doing an energy performance contract, it is completing needed maintenance work related to the building management system, as well as installing photo array, solar panels on the buildings in order to reduce energy savings. This entire project becomes a net zero cost to the operating budget. So it isn't a typical capital project where you're making a payment in order to receive a finished good that you're going to get use of. This is making a net zero payment, and then after that 15-year window, you are forever in perpetuity as long as those items are in operation for the district. You are benefiting from future energy savings also.
Thank you, I appreciate that. You jogged my memory too. The other item that was compelling, I think, was the fact that our roof completion is now,
Yep, that's right.
it's necessitating the timing of installing panels. So thank you for that.
I guess just to clarify, right, you're referring to the old panels that were up there that after that was done under a previous performance contract.
Mhm.
They've already exceeded their expected life, but that original payback, whatever that was at the time, I'm assuming was 15 years. This probably predates you guys. But we lived with those panels past that, so we were still seeing energy savings from those particular panels after the fact, after they've been fully paid back. So that's, I think, when you look at projected energy savings, those projected energy savings will continue even after the 12 years for ESG or the 18 years for Renew, whichever way we go. Those are still energy savings that you're going to recognize and benefit from. So, not to mention that you're replacing equipment that needs to be replaced.
Absolutely. All right, any other comments from the board? So, Mr. Poole, what's next steps then? So I saw that the timeline was posted, Fred. So is our first, go ahead, please, Jerry.
If I could, so as Mr. Seaver noted, your next step would be to authorize a comprehensive energy audit. I would, on the advice of council, you would do that via resolution, authorize that. The resolution would note specifically at no cost to the school district. And then I think, Fred, it's a few months before that comes back with a final finished product, SED stamped with the scope that's negotiated. And at that point, in a few months, you would come back to this and say, you know what, Fred would come back, we take a closer look at it, and you would decide at that point whether to move forward or not. But at this point, it's just authorizing Renew to conduct that audit at no cost to the school district.
Perfect.
And that will be on the agenda for 12/9.
Yep, very good. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Siva. I think we're good. Thank you for being here tonight. Thanks, Ken. Yep, thank you very much. Okay. All right. Next up, Ms. Kirschis, do we have any additional comments from residents?
Did anybody want to speak? Mr. Williams, would you please come up? State your name and address for the record, please.
Mike Williams, 3 Upper Coast Way, Shoreham, New York. Good evening. I'm going to be very short tonight. You've heard my concerns at many other board meetings on the current direction of the Shoreham-Wading River athletic program. As a matter of fact, last year to the day, I spoke at a board meeting in this building expressing those concerns 1 year ago. It resulted in a standing ovation from the 8 or 10 people that were there that evening. However, little has been changed. Fortunately, there are many more here tonight with my same concerns. I've handed out to them a copy of the email that I sent to you all today, explaining the issues that have been ignored, and the bond study that was approved by the Space and Facility Committee, not yet put in place. No need for me to mention those issues. I didn't hand out pictures of the district's baseball fields, but many have seen them. Their reaction was the same as yours and mine. Brutal. I believe several of these community members would like to say a few words, so I am going to give them the floor. Most of them are much younger than I, but they share the same concern for their boys and girls as to the future of the Shoreham-Wading River athletic program. Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Is there another resident that would like to speak?
Please make your way up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Dan Lietta. I live at 21 Mary Fifth Path in Shoreham. I appreciate, Michael has given me an opportunity and including me in this effort, which is tonight I'm going to voice my support for any capital improvement project, including but not limited to these new fields, synthetic turf, and I come from a baseball perspective. Just a little backstory. I have two boys, Daniel and Jack. Daniel is a senior, Jack is a sophomore. Since 7th grade in our district, they have continued to play golf in the fall, basketball in the winter, and baseball in the spring. From this point on, when you hear me say baseball fields, I want to be respectful of Title IX, and other sports, so that should include for, softball and other athletic fields when you hear me say baseball fields. But, when I was thinking about speaking, I want to, for the sake of brevity, try to have a three-pronged approach, because my maybe unique perspective comes from, one, former player, coach, played through high school, I'm a local guy, come over, played at Sachem through college, and coached a lot of, kids that the parents are in the room today, from winning programs, summer leagues, and seeing them grow, was extremely satisfying. When it comes to, the prism I look at, I just want to make sure, that obviously, for the player coach, as a physician with 25 years in internal medicine, or maybe more importantly, and most importantly, a parent and community member. Every point I make tonight, has a counterpoint. I have no idea right now, I'm doing research on district finances, balance sheets, and/or, any projects that are in the works right now. So it's a little myopic view, and really streamlined towards, the baseball program. When it comes to, some housekeepers disclaimers, very gracious, you know, I know it's kind of end of the meeting type stuff, and they did, we held many practices there, it was extremely high yield, and we had a bunch of 9th and 10th graders, and it had to be, it was all strong guys, that would be 70% by the rules, or, what have you, and we did extremely well, played, won more games than we lost in the varsity season, and some of the parents are here today, and some of those guys, have gone on and played college baseball, it's been very fruitful, and it's a big turning point for a lot of those children in their athletic success. Playing up and playing with their friends, and a little different than the culture of today, where the high school seasons get a little fractured from travel sports in general. So it's tough to build culture in this day and age. Get on to health and safety, part of it, turf versus natural surface of grass. That data is still skewed. If it was 10, 15 years ago, if it was health was the driving force of installing athletic fields in school districts and colleges, they would never build another athletic turf field again, because the data was just
Injuries.
pretty overwhelming that there's a lot of injuries on turf.
Yep,
But at
there
the same time now, that gap is closed markedly. I can't say it is the same, but when it comes to the types of injuries, the data is very partitioned between the types of sports. Those dynamic and faster moving, more rep sports of football, soccer, lacrosse, field hockey, versus baseball, more static sport, not as much motion. And those two areas, the data that's there, obviously the more torsion, lower extremity, soft tissue injuries of, those, dynamic sports versus, more, maybe these lacerations and dislocations versus, the ACL injuries and common injuries, contusions, and soft tissue tenderness and ligamentous sprains of, the faster, more rep sports, football, soccer, lacrosse. When it comes to, baseball, baseball is just a different animal entirely. You have to be in it, and playing in 1,000 games, and coaching in 1,000 games, and being with the kids. We saw this coming a mile away. When the kids today, they play baseball, and they, from the time they're 7, 8, 9 years old, they're playing on Christmas Day, for the most part. And we kind of joke around and say these kids aren't going to get a bad hop until they're in junior high. That's kind of like where it is, But we used to go in when the kids were little. We would take them to, the JV field. We'd take them to the varsity field and hit ground balls and kind of make them, earn it. Because we could field ground balls on these fields, we could field them. And that, rang true, for, my guys. It's a good skill set to have. But baseball and our grounds crew, let me be clear that they do a great job. Come springtime, the fields are lined, smooth surface, they drag it, the grass is nice, but there's still things over years that it's just unseen. There's unevenness in the infield. Baseball is one of the only sports where before first pitch is thrown, before that game starts, the field is altered to its natural surface. You can look like Yankee Stadium, they can drag it. When it comes to you got to remember, if we're home before the top of the first inning, our guys are out there now taking ground balls, from the first base and the infield guys, and base paths, batting clock, infield dirt, all altered, subtle, but altered nonetheless. There's not a lot of sports, that play on turf that can say that, when it comes to fields altered, before game time. And that goes to different hops, how the ball bounces, and again, I know all those angles, both teams have to play on it. But when it comes to, for instance, Mike Daniel, my older one, he's playing on the varsity since 9th grade. He's one of the best players in the county. I think he's had 3 errors in 3 years. And all of them are fielding errors, 2 of them on our field, and 1 of them Matatuck, which is also a turf. All right? All fielding errors. Because obviously there's that other component, the throw on ground balls. And spoken like a true father, was always a true father. So looking at that and
saying, well, could this lead, to, our petitioning for appeals? I know Mr. Williams has been banging the drum for a long time. When I talked about, one thing I left out was, grass, dirt interface, the lift that we talked about. Another thing that can cause bad hops. But when that's your home field, there's way more opportunities, even though it can affect both sides, there's way more opportunities throughout the year for those bad hops to happen to you when you're playing on the natural surface, right? But injury-wise, it's baseball, it's a lot of projectile things, it's a lot of short hops. So with natural, with artificial turf, installed, would help ensure our children's teeth stay exactly where we want. So that's one thing. The cost and funding, of these projects, this might be, the editorial portion of the program. I understand, capital projects have a few ways, two of which can go about it. Capital reserves, to put anything to the town, either to a vote, no tax levies. There's a certain, bucket of funds for that. And then you have, the referendums that you have to put forth. You're gonna, propose bonds for these big capital projects. I would love to see one that, obviously you have to make it more beneficial for the entire community to vote on it and to have more backers, tie it into something academic. When it comes to baseball field, athletic fields, it's something really nice. I think you have to tie that into an academic or non-athletic component, whether it's STEM labs, other science labs, music, arts, AI, how to use it, not just how to use it, not getting caught using it, but how it's going to help us, through college and learning and jobs in the future. So these are, big parts of the proposal that I understand that we have to put together to make sure that we have the entirety or majority of the community behind it, and not just be so short-sighted about athletic fields, but I think, it's one of the things that's long overdue. When it comes to baseball, just my 2 cents is always, you're going to turf it the whole way, not just the infield. I think goes to uniformity. It's because why not? It's been too long. You don't want to do it halfway and for the same reason that you don't leave the end zone on the football field grass. Right? Turf it the whole way. When it comes to other parts that maybe, with this project, dugouts, restroom concessions, fencing, landscaping, drainage, lights, the lights that obviously increase, practice times, for, some teams having, short availability, of practice times or short windows, obviously lighting increases field availability times. The decreased cancellations due to weather for our field, Salvadano, who, runs Town of Brookhaven, has been great getting us fields, whether we need them weather-wise, even weather the night before, not being able to, the ground crew not being able to get those puddles, remedy, for gameplay, and it's always safety first, and these fields can be, playable after a rain of 2 or 3 hours if they're synthetic turf.
Can I give you a 2-minute warning?
Yeah, when it comes to recruiting, we've had, some lack of success in some of the sports, but, in the last maybe 2 or 3 years, I think that the work that we did always takes some, credit in the guys that we had winning, a league championship, 2 years ago, but, fell back a little bit, we fell a little short last year. But when it comes to, what we'd love to see done, we know we've had, some sad times in our district. We've had, October 14th, with Tom's passing. And it was just great timing that, I'm sure it was in the works before, but great timing for the district. Maybe, I think it was the biggest bond at the time that was proposed in January 15th, 3 months later, that the town voted on overwhelmingly for a $48.5 million project. 30, I think 15 came from sent to the town, put it to a vote. Let them, you want to pay for it? And it was money for all 4 buildings and the field and tennis courts and fantastic fun. And it was the biggest one. Now, something like that, I know our percentage, which was state aided, we get a little bit of a short stick with the, 26.9, percent, ratio. Somewhere around there, so roughly a little more than a quarter. And, right now we've had a family that's been here 50 years, when it comes to baseball community, and I'll finish with this. Like Mr. Williams said, utilize the bond study, come up with a number, and then let the community decide. For the last 24 years, there's been a family here that's remained in the community and the town, that probably lived over 50 years, maintained, honored, and most likely, continue to grieve, heal, like we pray at all varsity baseball field. I mean, we have a generation of people under 30 now that, when it comes to 9/11, and not to get too, morbid about this, but that don't know too much about 9/11 and, what it meant to the country and the sacrifices and loss. And I implore everybody on 9/11, on the day, go and take a look at the varsity baseball field, because every year, you'll sit there and you reflect, and the job that they do to line that field, to put, a little memorial there for Kevin, it's really something to see. Someone said not too long ago, talking about 9/11, the whole thing is sad. It's still sad. And wouldn't it be great, wouldn't it be the ultimate sign of respect, and courtesy? And remember, it's a great ground, and construct an amazing field and facility for the 25th anniversary of that day and the loss of Kevin. It's overdue. We should be able to do this, and we'd just like to know, what the next step would be. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Mr. Leda. Is there any other residents that would like to speak?
Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Parker Tastrom. I'm at 8 Salvo Court in New York. I'm a lifelong resident of Shoreham-Wading River, father of 2 boys, 5 and 7. Hopefully future Wildcat athletes. When I was a student here, by my count, we had 7 functioning baseball fields, 3 on this property, 2 at middle school, 2 at high school. Currently, I could be wrong, but I think we only have 2, and that's barely functioning. 1 very nice still, but 2 barely functioning baseball fields in the entire district. I graduated in 2003. I was had the pleasure of being a member of the first varsity team to play on Kevin Williams Memorial Baseball Field. Back then, we used to proudly say that we played on the nicest field on Long Island, probably well beyond that. What I didn't appreciate at the time was that Mr. Williams puts so much blood, sweat, and tears into the care of that field. We were too young and distracted to realize it at that point. I don't think anybody could expect him to still be doing such a thing. My hope is that when my 2 sons grow up, and my niece Nora was here that she was recognized, and when they play sports, they'll be able to say they played on the nicest fields around too. At the last board meeting I attended, we were told that the district, that we can no longer maintain the field because of the level of use that they get, and basically that, there's too much use, and we would have to take them out of commission for such an extended period of time. And then, I believe they said then they would only last a season or 2, and then they would have to be taken out of commission again. So, if that's truly the case, I believe we owe it to our student athletes and in Kevin's memory, and, all the beautiful fields that we could have on school grounds to consider installing turf playing surfaces for the future of our Wildcat athletic program. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tagstrom. Any other residents?
Good evening, I'm Mark Paquette from 1701 New Wakefield. Board members, thank you, first of all, very much for your volunteer service for our community. The one foundation that we all have when we come here is we're all about our school system at the time, back then, the education system wasn't for a student like me. I was heading down a different road, different career path. Was fortunate enough to get a Division I athletic scholarship for lacrosse. Getting there changed my trajectory, my entire career, my life. Found out I actually was a good student. Went on to receive several other master's degrees from large institutions after that. I spent 15 years in New York City, where I got several of my jobs because of being an athlete. As well as I did academically, the common ground was, hey, you played lacrosse, Division I, D2. Let me see if I can slip your resume up higher. Athletics matter. They're critically important. The fields we play on are critically important. When I came back to Shoreham-Wading after 15 years in New York City, I was so disappointed to see the quality of these fields. It was strange, actually. Even more strange, I have a 4-year-old son, and we travel to Rocky Point and other districts for our sports, because they have an abundance of turf fields that we get to use. Drive right by our own high school to go to these other schools. That's colossally disappointing. We're here, the community is here, several former athletes, Shoreham grads, folks that moved to the community because of our academics, but also our athletics. We ask you to consider this bond study. It sounds as though that's an important part, an element of this process. For whatever reason, it stalled. We ask you to reconsider that and expedite that study. Please be transparent about what the cost of that is, and I'm sure there are measures to be able to achieve getting through that really elementary element of this process. Let the community decide. I speak about athletics with this bond study, but also there are other elements to a bond, right? So there's other facility improvements that it appears we need. I'm sure there's a collective package within this consideration that would garner community support. So I'm here with my fellow community members. Please consider this. It's of critical importance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCaffrey. Anyone else would like to speak? Okay. Few just quick thoughts. So thank you for all speaking, and I agree, Mr. McCaffrey. We are all community. We're all community members. We're all very vested. The volunteers that sit up here with me, as well as you all. I think when we think about the Space and Facilities Committee, they're an advisory committee, right? They come up with recommendations for the board to consider. The board also, my teammates here, can speak to this as well. We look at all facets of the district, right? The finances, I think, Mr. Laeta, you said it best, right? How do you think about the micro versus macro views of the district? My best advice would be, we're going to come into budget planning season again right now. That usually kicks off, Glenn, correct me, January, February, right? By February, we have a...
And February, early March, but yeah, we're already underway.
My recommendation would be the same consortium that's here tonight would get involved and learn a little more about the district finances. Because of the things that are coming up and the things that are in the district's near future, it's going to impact us all as taxpayers. I think conscientiously, last year, the Riverhead portion of our tax base was hit with a larger increase. And Mr. Akiri, you can opine on what that looked like. I believe there's going to be a leveling of the Brookhaven side, correct, Mr. Akiri, this year. Am I spot on? So taxpayers, just by way of town taxes added on to our school taxes, are going to indicate larger increases this year. So I think as a board, we're conscientious of the finances of our community, right? So I would encourage you all. I do advocate for sports. Mr. Williams knows. That sounds like you shared the email that I wrote back to you. Obviously, the entire district is of our concern. In a previous board meeting as well. So bottom line is, I'd like you to all get involved in the budget process. That's first. If you'd like to show up and get involved and listen to the presentations, what the district's priorities are, how we look at expenses and finances of the district, you're all taxpayers as well as we. You'll have a voice in that. I think that's kind of first and foremost. I think then, as far as the field itself, we went and I wasn't happy with the way the fields looked. I think if everyone goes back to the September board meeting when we had BBS or landscape architects, I didn't like the way they looked. There was definitely a misunderstanding on the district's part, and at least this board member's part, of how do we maintain specifically the baseball and softball fields in the off-season. I was disappointed. I didn't like the way they looked. I saw pictures that Mr. Williams had presented. I thought that was not the way a field should ever look, especially a baseball field. So after those meetings and after speaking with administration, we clearly learned that there was a difference of how the fields are maintained in off-season. And Mr. Poole, if you want to address how they are now being looked upon by our grounds teams, that would be helpful, I think, maybe to add to the conversation. And ultimately, it
Yeah.
ended up in a resolution to treat the fields for pesticides, for the bug control, and for the weeds that had emerged this year. I'll let you kind of give us some.
Yeah, I think it's historic in the school district. It was a question of time and money. If the fields weren't in use, like a baseball diamond, it wasn't groomed or managed during his off seasons, but gotten ready for a play. So different expectation now. They will keep those at a certain standard, so that there's not quite as much work in the spring to get them ready.
And Mr. Williams knows that the Space and Facilities Committee, we spoke about the JV baseball field. There was a specific lip that was a problem. I'm not familiar with it. I don't know if it was at the mound or at the plate, but I know that's been addressed. So our current fields always need to be maintained. I think that was the outcome, and I think the expectation now is that those will be by our buildings and grounds. I don't know if the rest of the board wants to opine, but my recommendation would be I'd like you all to get involved with the budget planning and see what's about to happen this year, and let's all as a community talk about what the issues are and what we would like to see for the athletic program specifically on the fields. Anyone else want to add anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, I think everyone keeps bringing up the bond study
Yep.
that was recommended last spring from Space and Facilities. I don't think, again, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've ever discussed it in full at a public board meeting. So I'd like the opportunity at the next meeting to put it on the agenda for full discussion,
Sure, could do that.
unless I'm wrong, unless
No,
there
no,
was, the email that you had sent out, it
Yeah.
sounded like there was a decision made from the board. I don't recall that.
Well, it hadn't been brought up by any of the board members at this point. We haven't spoken about $21,000 to spend on a bond study.
No,
So you're requesting.
I disagree. I think I've kept asking if it to be put on the agenda, and it just has never made it.
So again, I don't know the purpose of a bond study, Mike, if we don't have the financial funds to support it. That's the other thing. So where are we getting $21,000 for a bond study?
Why don't we do exactly that? Why don't we put it on for discussion so that we can have a public.
Okay, sure. Could do that. Happy to do that. Okay. I'll take that away as agenda item.
We just spent $20,000 on a fence around the playground, so,
So we'll have a discussion next.
okay.
Okay. Any other comments from the board? Okay. Anything else from anyone else? Okay. I'd like to get a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting and enter executive session to discuss a personnel matter related to a particular person or corporation, the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation. May I get a motion, please? Mike, second Katie. All in favor? 7-0. Thank you, everyone, for being here.